Coming to you from the near future in New Burbank, California, this is the Film versus Film podcast. I am your host, Quinn Boys. I believe the children are the future, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, the vivacious, the vivisecting, the three-time back-to-back-to-back victor and still reigning champion of the program, Leonard Smith Jr. What's up, Leonard?
My vindictive, vivacious co-host, Quinn Boys. How did that feel? How did that feel saying that?
I beat you to vivacious, but vindictive was a good one because that also applies to you. I should.
Yes,
I give you vivisecting, which I don't even think works.
Yeah. I mean, you're also vivacious.
We're both vivacious.
I am victorious. I am victorious for the last 3 seasons. It's not looking good for me this season. We'll see what happens. So I'm enjoying it. I am sitting in this moment of having being a 3-time champion and the reigning champion. I'm feeling good. I feel like I'm coming in this episode a little hot, so I don't know how I'm going to do. I'm fighting for my life, so we'll see how it goes.
You're down 3-2. There's plenty of season left. I'm not even going to let you start this underdog narrative.
What are you talking about?
It's a rounding error.
What are you talking about? All I'm saying is November 5th is coming close, and I'm putting in some work.
That is also not true. We couldn't be any farther away from November 5th unless we started moving backwards.
November 5th, Quinn.
Okay.
Jeez, man. We'll be on season 6 hopefully by November 5th.
Unless I lose again and I kill myself.
Big dystopic. I love like my favorite type of sci-fi is like grounded sci-fi, like dystopic type of sci-fi situations, and it was kind of hard not to go sci-fi, but I made my choice first, and you fucking came at me really hard, and it fucking, I was like, oh shit, your choice is just a great choice, and I didn't even think about it, is what I'm saying.
Oh no, yeah, but didn't I send you mine first? I feel like I texted you mine, but I hadn't locked it in,
okay,
and then you said what you had.
Then yes, I'm misremembering. You sent it first. And then when you sent that, I was like, all right, I'm going away from sci-fi, more sci-fi, like space type. And I'm going to go to something of a more grounded, a lot less grounded. But
my film does not take place in space. I'm now suddenly concerned that Leonard watched the wrong movie.
No, I'm saying yours doesn't take place. So I chose one that didn't take place in space.
I got you. My bad.
And anyways, we've been talking a long time. We got here thanks to our guest who gave us this prompt, and I'm really excited and really happy that you did. From Lotions 11, comedian, actor, Cassie Hoge. What's up, Cassie?
No, it's actually Cassie.
Bro,
what the fuck is happening?
I'm gonna tell you what this. I'm bringing it back. I'm bringing it back to fucking up the name.
It's okay.
I know it's Cassie.
You've known Cassie for years.
I know. And I know there's 2 Cassies. And I looked at her name on her Zoom, and I read it Casey, and I feel stupid.
Yep.
Her name on her Zoom, which you did not misspell, Cassie.
It's Cassie.
Yeah, now it's okay. It's the end of the world. What else?
Oh my God.
Call me Casey. Who cares at this point?
I'm so embarrassed right now. I just lost the episode.
We're keeping this all in.
I know. I honestly want to redo this, but
no. This is the Film versus Film podcast. My name is Quine Boyes. We've got Leonard Smythe Jr. and Cassie Hoge coming up.
Yes.
Oh my God.
What are we talking about? Vengeance?
We don't know. We're talking about the dystopic future that we are living in right now.
That in mind.
Oh my God.
The funniest, what really makes it funny is there are 2 Cassies on our Lotions of
it's like
team.
a big
so
thing
you have
about
twice
how
the chance to remember that
names.
name.
Listen, man.
It's cool. I mean,
I did not see that coming.
I'm just happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
You know what's funny though? It's because I'm just gonna put a little bit too much of my personal information.
No, that's fine.
Please give us personal information.
I dated a girl and her name was like Cassandra, but she and her name and she would go by Casey.
To go by Casey.
She hated Cassie.
Wow.
She hated Cassandra, and
it's
she would go by.
More of a strong. This is even.
And she had 2 S's in her name,
before.
but she would go by Casey, and.
So she spelled it like Cassie, but she'd say no, it's Casey. Like now she's just fucking up.
Well, her name was Cassandra, but she would put her name like Cassie. So she wouldn't have 2 S's. I knew her name was Cassandra, so I was like, I don't know. Maybe there are two, but it was wild. And for the longest time, I forgot like if it was Casey or Cassie. And we had gone on
How
a
long
few
was this
dates.
relationship, Leonard?
It was like we were dating for a little bit. It wasn't very
Okay.
long. And then
It sounds like it wasn't
How
very
long
long.
have we been on an improv team?
and then we stopped. And then like a year and a half, 2 years later, we dated again. But by then it was fine. But it was the original time, the first time, where I was like, I can't remember if it's because I knew she was very opposed to one way. She was very anti one way. And
Well,
I was
I
like,
guess
oh shit.
I guess
can't
my
remember.
question is, were you primarily calling her by her full name, Cassandra?
No, I wasn't calling her by
So every
like, hey.
time when you're dating her the first time,
you
you
only
had that
called
little.
her baby.
It was only for like it was like a date or two. It was like, and then I got it.
Okay.
But it was
You
like,
only said, "Hey, you."
yeah, exactly. It was a wild experience.
I feel like, and especially for you, Leonard, who, as has been established, hates going by Lenny. You'd think you would have respect for people's chosen nicknames, but
I don't. No. I don't hate going by Lenny. I don't hate. You can call me whatever. Okay.
Okay.
You can call me whatever you want to call me, as long as it's like not some racist thing. Or
In
something
the future,
like
would you change your name? Like, Zombieland, they go by where they're from.
that. When I lived in Oakland for like a couple months, everybody at my job called me A-Town.
Nice.
Because of Atlanta.
Yeah, because I was from
You were
Atlanta, and
the guy there from Atlanta.
I was the guy there from Atlanta, and I was just like,
Yeah.
okay, cool. Like everybody at my job calls me Leo. Like they introduce me as Leo. In the system, I'm Leo. I've never asked anyone to call me Leo ever.
Ooh, I think you should start going by Leo.
You
Not-
think?
I
not
would
for-
always.
no,
If
just
that
like
was an option for me, I would want that.
in a future Oakland situation, if you're gonna put up like set up shop someplace for not your whole life, but like, oh, I'm doing a thing in Chicago for the summer.
So
go by Leo and see how
all
it
right,
goes.
that's gonna be my Zombieland name is Leo.
Okay.
Call me Leo.
I have since we're doing names here, and Cassie, I'm interested in your take too, if you've had any other names that Leonard hasn't given you. But I was my Quinn is my middle name. My legal first name is Peter. My mom's dad name was Peter. I was named for him, but my parents never called me that. I've always been Quinn. They always just chose to call me by my middle name. So a lot of times people will see my name like on a legal document or on mail, and they'll be like, "Why don't you go by Peter?" As if I've like sat down
How
as a
dare
boy
you.
and was like, "Fuck
I
this
knew
name."
a Peter. He was
I
a
got
very
two.
nice lad.
I'm using the fallback. So
If
I
you
moved
go on
out
the
to LA.
Price is Right, they
Mhm.
will make you say Peter, that you have to go by what's on your ID.
Oh, but that's because it films in
Mhm.
Hollywood and everyone's there is
Yes.
like, my name is Starfire. And
Yeah,
they're like,
can
no,
you
your
write
name is Sally.
Starfire?
Yeah. Well, that is one of many reasons why I'm not going on The Price is Right. Also, I don't know
Yeah,
how much.
sorry, I didn't mean to cut
costs.
you off.
I was on the
No,
Price
we
is
cut
Right
each other
earlier.
off all the time. Please,
I was
always
on the
cut me
Price
off.
is Right earlier this year.
Earlier this year. Has it aired?
Really? What?
Yeah, it aired on like February 9th.
No
Did you
way.
promote it?
I'm gonna.
No,
I
I
watch
didn't
The
promote
Price is
it.
Right all the time, and you're gonna be on Holy Moly.
Yeah.
Holy moly!
Wait,
That's something we should promote.
Am I allowed to say that?
I legally I wasn't, but now I am. I'm legally allowed to say I am
whew.
going to be on
I'm
Holy
sorry. I
Moly,
thought I
so-
just cost you a lot of money.
No,
Are you
no,
legally
you're good.
allowed to call Cassie Casey?
I can't. Yeah.
Fuck you,
Actually,
Quinn.
I have some.
I still feel pain about that. Like
It's okay. You'll feel better because I'll just keep bringing it up and up and up, and you'll get used to it. But
Up and up and
when
up.
I first moved out to LA, I was working at these two women ran a management company with all their clients, and I won't say their names because I hated that job, but I worked there, and there was these two women, and they had an assistant, and that was the whole office, and they were picking me up for a second assistant for pilot season. And if you live out in LA, or even if you don't, pilot season is when everybody tries to make pilots, and there's just a flood of casting, and it's a busy time. So I was like working there for 6 months, and I didn't like it. I didn't get it wrong. But what was the worst part was there were these two women. They were fine. And then there was an assistant who was also very nice. None of the people were bad. I just hated the job. Her name was Quinn. And so they hired two people as assistants to a 4-person office, and 2 of the assistants were named Quinn. And they were just like, you can't go by Quinn. And I was like, but it's my name. Like I have to. And I just moved out to
name.
It's my name. I only have one. I have Peter, right? But I just moved out here, and I'm like, I don't want to just start meeting people in town and be like, I go by Peter. My email says Peter. You know, they're going to be like, what do you live a double life? So I'm like, call me QB, anything but Peter. So there was a while there where I was QB and my coworker was Quinn. And we both, she was a woman and I was a man, and we both worked at the same.
You could be Quinn 1,
I
Quinn
have
2.
an Aunt Pat and an Uncle Pat, and they're married to each other.
Oh, that's
Patrick
great.
and Patricia. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Patrick and Patricia. Names are fun, but not what we're here to talk about today. And I feel like Cassie, Leonard totally embarrassed you and stepped on your name there at the beginning. But can you tell us now, Cassie, why you chose this prompt and what this prompt meant to you? Are we interpreting it correctly? I'm interested. We'll talk about our picks, but like more in the abstract.
I said like best Earth in the future.
That was how you pitched it to me, which was really interesting.
If it's Earth, which like in a world where I don't know, there's no babies. Am I spoiler?
No, that's all right.
You're fine. No.
But I think it's interesting to me to think about what if, I don't know, do hypotheticals. And like, if I won the lottery, how would I spend the money? Like that kind of thinking is how I like. And these movies kind of bring up.
We talked about Earth in the future. When it was a different prompt, like the one that comes to my mind is Leonard gave me Idiocracy one time for an entirely different prompt, but that's a prime what does Earth look like in the future kind of example. And I do feel like it's kind of its own genre. Usually it is science fiction, as you mentioned, Leonard, but it also it can be happy movies where Earth is in the future. They can be weird movies. It can be 5 years in the future. It can be 100 years in the future. But I like that you said Earth, because that meant we couldn't go. And I know people are going to get on me and they're going to say, technically it's a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. But when we're sticking to Earth, we don't do Star Wars. We don't, we're kind of containing it. And I do feel like that's its own. Yeah.
I wanted it to be like references from Earth. Like it's London. Both of these movies are London. Did you guys pick that?
Yeah, you gave us a very wide prompt and we picked 2 movies set in London released within a year of each other, which is kind of wild.
Because at first when I started watching V for Vendetta,
go for it. Yeah.
We're watching V for Vendetta and I put it on and I was like, wait, this is London, that's not Earth. And then I was like, wait, okay, it's Earth, it's not America. Okay, we're good. I was gonna
a little American exceptionalism creeping in.
Yep. And then I watched Children of Men, London again.
London
and I was like, what is happening?
Had you seen either one of these movies?
If you had asked me that a week ago, I would have said that I had watched V for Vendetta, but then once it started, I was like, I've never seen this film before.
What could you possibly have been mistaking it with?
No, well, I knew that Natalie Portman shaved her head for this role. And that's it. And that's all I knew about the film, turns out. And so the whole time I was kind of like, I wonder what's going to make her shave her head. Like the whole movie, I was just thinking like, is he going to, why would there be shaving in this scene? No, it's gotta be coming later. Just thinking about when it's
every scene you're like, this is it
going to happen. Yeah,
she's walking by a barber shop.
I was kind of distracted, but and then I got really into it, and so I went to the library and I got them for the DVD special footage.
Shout out
Cassie
to
is holding both
library.
DVDs in her hands right now, which is a throwback to 2005, 2006 when these movies came out.
Yeah, I know, they're total DVDs. Our TV is too nice for the subtitles. Like the W's were like
oh, you can see the pixels.
That's funny.
Leonard, let's get into your movie first. So we're talking about Natalie Portman and her big old bald head. You chose V for Vendetta. Give us a little, set the scene. What is this movie about?
V for Vendetta was originally a comic book, so it's a movie based off a comic. You wouldn't really think of that. This is like a comic movie, but it is, and they did a pretty good job. It's set in London. We're following, some people may say he's a hero. Some people may say he's a terrorist. V, that's the name that we know of him from the beginning and throughout. It was a screenplay. I mean, it was a comic, but the screenplay was done by how to pronounce that for me?
The Wachowskis.
Wachowskis. Oh. Okay, cool. The Wachowskis,
who wrote this movie but did not direct it, which I totally forgot. I thought they directed it as well because it totally feels like a Wachowski movie.
Yeah, and it's just, man, the editing, the everything about this movie is dope. Natalie Portman is amazing. you don't ever see his face, but Hugo Weaving also great. It looks cool. It's fun. It's like really engaging the entire time, and then like there's a big, what is it? I don't know. I guess it's the end of the second act. Like the second act is just like, okay, this is shifting very hard, and it's about revolution. It's about a future where the fascists have taken over, and they're in a military state. The world is in ruins. There are viruses and plagues. That was crazy about both of these movies referenced like pandemics. And it's just like, oh, fucking shit. This hitting a little too close to home.
Year V for Vendetta?
They don't ever say what year it is.
So,
they have like old style TVs though.
Well, because the comic by Alan Moore, who famously like rejected, he didn't even see the adaptation to reject it. He just like didn't like any of his work being adapted. So he's not involved with the movie, but he obviously was a visionary comic writer and wrote but it was written in the 80s. And so they kept the aesthetic of the 80s, but it was written in the 80s, set in the future in the 80s so it's like, it's a similar, it's kind of an interesting 80s future inspired futurist that, they don't have a lot of like cell phones, which you would have thought.
You don't see it in either movies. Like, in Children of Men, you don't see people with cell phones either. And I was like,
actually in V for Vendetta, he picks up a phone, or it's just like a little rectangle, because I guess it's the future. And I was like, they nailed that. Or was it the other movie? I don't know.
I think maybe, isn't he on the phone? Well, that's okay. Sorry, Leonard, keep going unless you're pretty much done summarizing.
I got to mention he's really into Thomas Fawkes or whatever.
Guy Fawkes.
Guy Fawkes.
Remember the 5th of November. He tried to blow up British Parliament in the 1800s, 1700s?
In the 1800s, he did not succeed, but the legend went on. And it starts with him blowing up a monument, a building, and then he says in 1 year he's going to blow up Parliament. He lets everybody know, and we're along for the journey, and he's killing a lot of people, and more stories being revealed, and I feel like it's a pretty good movie. It's a pretty fun movie, and I enjoyed it a lot again, and I hadn't seen it in a long time, so.
I don't think I've seen this movie since it came out, and I saw it in theaters.
Same.
I've seen maybe bits of it, but sat down and watched it again since I saw it in theaters.
I've seen it probably like 3 or 4 times since. So I've probably seen it about 4 or 5 times. Yeah.
And Cassie thought she'd seen it, but had not.
Yeah, so I had not seen it before and now I've seen it once, and then I've seen the bonus footage for it, and a couple of YouTube clips.
I remember Natalie Portman's bald-headed era, really short hair.
Right.
She's only bald for a very small time in that movie, but from her Saturday Night Live hosting where she does that Natalie Portman rap with Andy Samberg, and she's got the short hair. I do feel like it's a distinct era in the Natalie Portman time. It was short hair. Natalie Portman was definitely a thing.
That was definitely a big deal.
So my film,
was it?
Was it not a big deal to you?
That was literally all I knew about this movie.
It's very brave.
There was a Natalie Portman era.
Do not. What do you mean you didn't know there was a Natalie Portman era? She's in Star Wars. She's shaving her head for V for Vendetta. She was in the second. She was in the second or the third one. It was
May the 4th. So there was all this Natalie Portman Star Wars stuff in the library, and I was like, she's everywhere.
She was the mom, right? She's
the mom.
Queen Amidala.
Padme Amidala. That's right.
Queen Amidala.
But no, this movie came out in 2005, which was the same year the last for her Star Wars movie came out.
What do you guys think about her accent?
I did have it written down. I don't know if she does a bad accent. I think she mostly does a pretty good one, but the problem is I know Natalie Portman doesn't sound that way, so it's always hitting my ears different. But I don't want to
maybe it's a very specific part of
I didn't even. The thought never occurred in my mind.
Really,
time.
You were just sold.
Leonard, how stoned were you for this one?
I'm always stoned, man. I was. It was like late, and I was enjoying it, and I didn't even think about it, not one single time.
Not even once.
It was only a couple times where she sounded like a Von Trapp, or are the Von Trapps even English? I don't know. Where she sounded a little bit too like she was doing it, but I thought it was pretty good. That's a tough thing when everybody knows your accent. Then you have to go out there and be like, I'm just trying to get to my uncles, and then everyone's like, nah, this isn't it.
Oh, and she like snitches immediately to everyone she sees in this movie,
I
right?
know.
And
yeah, she was snitching, bro.
I don't know.
It's like, why are you snitching to this priest? He is trying to molest you. He's like, what are you doing? He's not like
immediately. He's right there. Who are you with?
She gets her comeuppance and then some, I think.
Oh yeah, for sure.
For sure.
I direct you, Leonard, back to the hot wings eating challenge at the end of this previous season with my edict that friends don't torture friends. I feel like
that was. Have you ever had those, Leonard?
No.
Yeah, and I'm worried because hot. You have to.
I'm worried because if he makes me do it, like I'm not worried about my mouth. I'm worried about
for you to say like the whole wing. I was like, no.
I'm not doing anything to your butthole, Leonard.
No, you aren't, but the wings are.
Don't do anything.
We'll see what I may have in store should I be fortunate enough to at the end of the season come out with a W, but I'm not taking anything for granted.
All right, well, let's talk about your film.
And I do think that it's not coincidence, considering when we grew up, that both of these movies came in the mid 2000s, because I think the mid 2000s,
right back to back,
second only perhaps to this era that we're living in currently, was the most like depressed, dystopic kind of era of time where we're just like everything is shit and everything's going to hell. And I think that is where we find ourselves with Children of Men. Oh, you got to.
I just want to say, no. I just want to say, I've always felt like even musically, artistically, like films and TV. I mean, obviously there are outliers and there are things, but like overall, arts in the early 2000s was just shitty, bro. Like just music was shitty. Like I know a lot of people are like, nah, nostalgic, and they feel like very in tune with some of the things, and I'm like, nah, man. If you really go back and listen or watch like movies from 2001 and 2002 and like,
oh yeah.
Music,
seeing a movie from 2001 is wild because you're like, you guys don't even know what's about to happen.
You have no idea. I know. Every time I watch Friends, I'm just like watching the skyline. I'm like, don't get used to it.
But you're saying rap music was shitty? You're coming after Jay-Z's Blueprint? What are you?
No. See, Jay-Z is great, but like overall, like the overall music from like 2002, 2003, even like all genres of music was just like, man, it was just like subpar, man.
That was
even though I still love it all
for like rock. I would agree with you there.
Yeah, it's bad for rock. It's bad for like
a lot of fashion was pretty funky at that time in a bad way.
Exactly. Like artistically, it was just a bad time in all realms.
I feel like hip hop was
Chicago won best movie in 2002 or some shit.
That movie was really good.
You're still mad about Chicago, Leonard. Stay mad about Chicago, Leonard.
Renee Zellweger won best actress. Come on, bro. For Chicago, get out of here, bro.
Chicago was awesome.
This film is not set in Chicago. It is set in London in the year 2027, which is a trip.
So close,
because that time is so close now.
It's so tricky.
It wasn't very like it's looking bleak.
It's set in 2027. It's set in a futuristic London, which post-Brexit probably feels familiar, is totally closed off to others. There are refugee camps, people held in cages as they try to process in and out of London, where really only you get the sense that quote unquote native Londoners are the ones who are kind of able to kind of go as they please, which is exactly what Clive Owen is. Clive Owen is our main character. He is a disenchanted man living in a world where babies do not exist. No one has been pregnant at the time of this movie for 20 years, just about. And in fact, it's like such a captivating scene. The first scene of the movie is everybody in a coffee shop just staring off camera, watching the same newsreel footage of the fact that the world's youngest baby, what was it, Baby George or Baby
the youngest person in the world,
Baby Diego, who was like 21 and a dick. Although it's kind of like
18. He was 18.
Sorry, that's right. You kind of get the sense that he was like that because he was like the most famous person in the world. Right. Yeah. He was just hounded everywhere he goes, but he's died. He was in a nightclub fight and he got stabbed or something. And he died.
A fan asked him for an autograph and he spit in their face.
That's right. and everybody in the world is mourning. And I'm like, and that immediately, to me, it like sets the scene for what this movie, like the reality that we're living in, where no children are. And there's a later scene where they're walking through an abandoned elementary school, which is very creepy because it's like, we just have no use for these anymore. We've phased out of ever needing these again. But he's pulled back into, he used to be an activist. He's pulled back into kind of the struggle, so to speak, when his ex-wife reaches out, reconnects after a long time, and tells him that she needs his help. She needs his help getting someone into the country so that they can try to get this person to a research facility. He doesn't know why, but he comes later to find out that it's this young woman, and she's pregnant, and she's about to have the first baby in 18 years. And there's a lot of different groups, a lot of different kind of guerrilla factions who want to use the baby for political purposes or to maybe do experiments, or we don't know. But Clive Owen winds up being really the only guy who can get this young woman through the kind of refugee camp and out into the open ocean, where they're going to be met by some researchers. I forget what the Life Project. The World Project. I literally watched this movie today, and I'm forgetting that minor detail, but it's just, I didn't say, maybe I did. It's directed by Alfonso Cuarón, fresh off of the third Harry Potter movie, the best Harry Potter movie. And
that's funny. I just watched the third Harry Potter movie.
You just watched
like 4 days before, like 4 or 5 days before I watched Children of Men, like 3 days.
It's a like
for the first time.
Probably pretty low, but well, I don't know, mid-budget, I would say. Like it's not like it's not, obviously it's not whatever the equivalent of an Avengers or Spider-Man movie was back then, but it's like incredibly there's all these like one take shots, and there's all this kind of like
crazy long tracking shots with like explosions and buses going through, and like some live animals that they have to like coordinate all these. Can you imagine being an actor? Like I'd be so scared to mess up my line and we have to start it over.
If you started over, there's like a bunch of people in the crew that'll come and beat you about the Head and Shoulders, because there's so much of this movie is just like, and then here's a 10-minute shot, and then here's a 5-minute shot, and unbroken. Or, you know, I know sometimes they piece those things together. Maybe there's a little bit of cheating, but either way, the degree of difficulty for achieving a lot of these shots must have been crazy.
That one in the car, so they have like a structure built around the car, so the director's standing on top of it, and there's like a camera,
like a periscope, almost like on a how you'd work a periscope on a submarine. So well, cool. that sequence is so crazy. That's where Julianne Moore, who plays Clive Owen's ex-wife, is killed like very early in the movie.
Like, what? We just met her.
We're hoping you're thinking this is a movie where he's going to help out. He's going to kind of get his curmudgeon-y nature out of his system, and then they're going to get back together. But no, she gets got very early.
Julianne, huh? Oh, I bet
that's true.
That would get.
That's a mistake Leonard would make.
100% would make that. Like no question about it.
Moore.
I'm like, I don't know. It's like maybe I won't be, because if I'm on set, I don't know if I could be high on set or if I could not be high on set. So
you just gotta call everybody Bud.
Just everybody, every script, everyone is Bud. Hey Bud, listen. Hey pal.
Leonard is the Michael Caine character in this movie. He's just sitting at home.
Michael Caine.
Oh yeah. Hey, cough.
You ever have strawberry cough?
Strawberry cough.
Oh, I have.
Have you had it?
I've had strawberry cough.
Are you having it right now?
I've sold strawberry cough.
That's a real strain?
That is a real strain. It is.
Wow.
It is.
I thought it would have been for the okay. So Cassie, I want to hear very much what you thought about this movie. I know that you hadn't seen it. Leonard, had you ever seen this movie?
I had seen it one time, and I've never seen it again.
Yeah, I didn't see this one in theaters. I saw it on like HBO as a like a couple years after it came out. You'd never even heard of it, Cassie?
No, I haven't.
Oh, I hadn't. Wow.
I don't know what it is about, like, you gave us, again, maybe it's, I think the scale probably is weighted towards more depressing movies, and V for Vendetta has its fun, but it's certainly about like depressing, you know, kind of subjects, and there's a lot of dark shit in it. Society. But did you expect us to give you two movies that are kind of bummers, or like when you gave us this prompt?
Well, they were very similar in, I don't know, they're both from London, you know, it's both like society has turned on anyone who's not from like it all immigrants and everything. And I'm like, that seems very what's happening in the world today. So that's kind of a bummer.
Yeah,
How
they
I'm
literally
not gonna
make
lie.
reference to a
Relatable
cold flu
these are.
that kills the
Yeah.
the unseen child of Julianne Moore and Clive Owen, Dylan. We never
Right.
meet the child, but that's the reason they divorced. And they refer to the flu pandemic of, I think it was 2008. So they were off by a little bit
Like
over a
10
decade.
years.
And I was
Yeah,
watching
Still pretty
these, I was
good.
like, these are kind of so that is kind of a bummer for that. But no, I thought these picks were great.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Both of these were kind of a bummer watching them. But I
Just
I mean,
because
Children
it
of
hit
Men,
so hard.
Children of Men, a little bit more.
True.
But also with this whole Roe v. Wade shit like going on, also it's just like,
Right?
God
What
damn,
in
bro,
the
this is
world?
just
I was
awful
like,
all
babies.
around. They're really just, it's just like, man, how are we getting closer to this? Like, what's happening, bro?
Yeah,
Doesn't make sense.
exactly. How is
So,
us going into the future getting?
but it made me like the movies even more because, like, damn, they were really
They
right.
really did a
I
good
mean,
job.
we're human
And
beings.
Children of Men, just like the way they filmed it, and at some points the camera would just like go off and show other stuff happening in the background. It was just kind of like you're discovering things as it's all coming through. I thought it was really cool.
I think there's like only one cut. We were talking about that tracking shot in the car. I
Yeah,
think there's
yeah.
like one cut in that entire shot. It's like that is
Yeah,
crazy.
that's wild.
It's like when I think maybe when the windshield breaks or something, it's like the only cut, but the rest is all
Yeah.
like a single shot.
Well, then there's that insane shot at the end, and
Yes.
spoiler alert, Clive Owen gets her there. He gets he gets the baby is okay. Well, that's also one like an extended take of with the baby being born, and I don't know how they must have just used the CGI baby,
Yeah,
or
what
a
a weird
doll that
CGI
they then
baby.
added CGI to or something.
Yeah.
But it's pretty it's low lighting. They're backlit, so maybe that
Mhm.
helps make it a little bit more.
I watched.
I was
they
impressed
have
by how they
making
pulled
the
off some of these
baby
things.
is one of the things on the
Making the baby.
on the DVD, and so they mapped the whole room and like create a layer with a fake baby, and then they
Wow.
take that layer out and add the CGI one over top of it. But yeah,
it's incredible.
wild.
So Key
Wow.
is the young woman who he meets up with who has the baby. But that scene where he's trying to save her and the baby at the end, and he's like running. It starts with the tunnel. They like go through the tunnel, and then they get kidnapped, and then he goes after them, and then he goes in the building, and then like it's insane.
Yeah.
But you know, and this is a film podcast technically, Leonard. So we do want to obviously take time to make appreciation of some of the filmmaking techniques, and Alfonso Cuarón is one of the masters. But I will say, for someone who's not that familiar with James McTeague's other work, this was his first feature, which is probably why I thought it was a Wachowski film. But it was a very like stylish V for Vendetta. Now transitioning back to that, like it was a very stylish kind of bleak future, but with a lot of like very cool, very iconic shots from the movie, I thought.
Yeah, there's a lot of dope shots, and I really like how they use like the media, like the angles and cuts into like to like just really show you how this world is, to give you a view into this world. And it feels kind of like you're watching a comic, the way it's just like it's very bright and like the shots are all very distinct. You know what I'm saying?
And
it's like
like
all
in the last scene when he's doing all it with his
Yeah.
knife tricks, and it's like slow motion or so fast motion that it's you can see the waves of.
That was like the one thing where it felt like the Wachowskis put their thumb on the scale, and they're like, we got to have a bullet time
It's like you
kind of
come
fight.
this
And so they don't do it for
enough-
bullets, but you
long
see the
enough.
knife rotating, and you see the air
Mhm.
disruption like you do in the Matrix.
Yeah.
That was a fire scene. And I really liked this movie a lot when I was younger, and you know, I said I watched it a few times, but I feel like the older you get, the more you might enjoy it. I feel like I enjoyed it a lot. This is probably the time I enjoyed it the most.
Well, we established multiple times on this podcast, Leonard, that you were an emo kid. And so this feels like right up your alley. You just sit here and be like, yeah, man, fuck this. This has got it right.
Yeah. I think that's why I always thought that I had seen it, because my friends had seen it because I was like a theater kid,
Yeah.
so they always, did his whole lines of saying all the beats and everything.
Oh, can we talk about that V's intro scene?
Oh man.
Yes.
It's great. It's absurd. It's ridiculous. I'm trying to look up the that monologue because it feels like they just and again I imagine they pulled this straight from the comic, but like it just feels like if your teacher gave you a writing assignment for spelling and she's like, use every V word in the dictionary.
Yeah.
This is what you might come up with. It's such a long quote that I genuinely do not, but it's how he introduces himself. Here we go. Actually, I don't know. Cassie, you went to class. Do you want to try this monologue? Why am I stealing this? I could drop it in the chat. You could read it. Is that putting you on the spot? Do you have an inner theater kid?
Is it on IMDb?
Boom. Check in the chat.
Check in the chat. I got a message. Okay, here we go.
No, good Lord, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Okay,
all right, so I'll count these.
Okay. Voila! In view, a humble veteran cast vicariously as both victim and villain by the vicissitudes of fate. The visage, no mere veneer of vanity, is a vestige of the box of Popful, now vacant, vanished. However, this valorous visitation of a bygone vexation stands vivified and has vowed to vanquish these venial and verquent vermin vanguarding vice and vouchsafing the violently vicious and vocarious violation of volation. The only verdict is vengeance, a vendetta held as a votive, not a vain, for the value and veracity of such shall one day vindicate the vigilant and the victorious. Verily, this visage of verbiage be most verbose. So let me simply add that it's my very good honor to meet you, and you may call me V. And would you be?
Oh my God.
Sometimes if I didn't know, I tried to just keep going over it.
I'll be honest, I was keeping finger count, and then I realized I was not counting my finger.
You just, so
going? It's going to need you to take that again, Cass.
How many did you do of these?
Oh, Quinn been smoking that strawberry cough too, huh?
CHYSSOISE? Vichyssoise?
Oh, Vichyssoise or something?
Vichyssoise. I thought it was Vichyssoise.
I have no idea. Don't hold me to that.
I think it's Vichyssoise, right?
Relation book. Yeah, those are hard words.
Cassie, that was incredible. I put you on the spot. Woo! Thank you for doing that.
Man, I'm sweating.
What is this vouchsafing? Like they vouch with safing on the end.
Mean?
Vouchsafe is like to ensure that something gets somewhere safely, I think.
Okay, smart guy. All right,
I think that's what it is.
You know what's so funny? I just looked up V for Vendetta versus Children Men just to see what we got on YouTube. And like this little high school kids YouTube video came up. It's just 4 British kids like, and in V for Vendetta, Natalie Portman's character, and then they're all like laughing at each other because they're in high school and they have to do a book report.
Oh, okay. Can you tell me what their YouTube is? Because I'm going to send them a cease and desist. And
I know, right? Yeah, we should send all your listeners to the comments. It's a 9-year-old video.
To vouchsafe actually means to give or grant something to someone in a gracious or condescending manner. So that seems a little bit loaded as a term. But anyway, you want me to check Vichy
I mean, I think V is kind of a jerk.
That's true.
Like I can learn. Like he made her learn her lesson, and she did learn it. But that is not nice.
But when you know what he went through, I think he's allowed to be a jerk, right?
He's allowed to be a jerk, Leonard. He's not allowed to torture his friends.
You don't get to choose.
Okay. All right. Hold on.
Make your friends learn a lesson.
I'm going to say this right now. If V doesn't kidnap her and tortures her, she would be dead. She would have just gotten caught, and they would have just murdered her, and that would have been the end of her story.
2 wrongs don't make you righteous, Leonard. I don't know.
Yeah, an eye for an eye makes us all look like Deadpool.
Vichyssoise, if we're even saying that right. Hang on, everybody be very quiet for 1 second.
Yeah.
Can you hear this?
No.
Well, I just heard the dictionary definition from Google, and it's vichyssoise. It's a soup made with potatoes, leeks, and cream, and typically served chilled. So I think they were just
So
he was
he's
just pulling it.
hungry.
Oh, no.
different
He's
B words.
he's saying this is a soup of verbiage
Oh,
veers and those
yeah,
of
it's a
verbose.
stew,
Like
if you will, of
it's a soup of too many
vocabulary.
V's, is what he's saying.
Yeah.
Nice.
What he's really saying is, I'm a
I
big
get
weirdo. Come with me to a rooftop. We're gonna blow some
Whatever,
shit up,
V.
and then you have to stay with me, and you can't leave because you help me out. And
All
I
right, I
repay
got a
my
question
friends
for
for
you.
helping me out by
Whatever.
torturing
V
them.
thinks he's better than me, and
I got a couple
it.
questions for y'all. If you had the choice of living in one of these universes, which one would you choose?
Choice.
And you're in London. You're in London. You're not in America.
Of course, that's the
It's
only
funny
place
because in
left.
both of these movies, America is kaput, right? Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah.
I know in
Yeah.
the UK, there's that.
But
there's
you know,
that
it's
great scene
also-
where he's on the bus in Children of Men, where it's like Paris, New Amsterdam, like all these
Yeah.
different places, and it's like
Literally
have
every
fallen.
city.
Done.
London soldiers on. It's like, oh
But-
damn.
But in both of them, it's propaganda, and it's like every country is playing that same video. Like I was
Probably.
thinking,
I would
have a couple
rather live.
questions.
It's actually not hard for me, and I think it's what's so affecting about this movie. I'm not transitioning into my final argument, but there is something so sad and like just like overall melancholy. Like before the movie even starts getting really dark, you know, a lot of people don't have kids. A lot of people never want to have kids, and God bless. And a lot of people are like, why would I want to raise kids in this world? And that also is a very valid. I never have a good answer for that question. However, a world in which children do not exist is so that at least the V for Vendetta world, though it is more that it actually seems more day-to-day brutal. But I do think that both movies are about hope. And I feel like the hope of like, maybe we can all put on a Guy Fawkes mask and storm Parliament.
Right.
Is
That's what it
slightly
is.
more,
When all else is
I would
lost,
choose
what
to live in
keeps
that
you
world.
going?
Yeah. Which version of London would we rather?
You're also a white man, Quinn, so obviously you're going to.
Yeah.
choose-
Do you look like you, or do I? Who do I look like here?
My black ass.
There are a lot of black people in Children of Men.
There are a lot of black people in Children.
They're doing all right.
I hate
Yeah.
fuck kids, so I'm going Children
How
of
do we-
Men. I don't want to
Cheetah
talk about these kids.
Cheat away, cheat for.
But you know what? Actually,
Right.
actually,
Close.
Hell,
I'm gonna go V for Vendetta because this is something I was thinking about. Ain't no sports because ain't no new kids.
soccer. It's
you're gonna
football.
people gonna be
Yeah.
playing basketball at like 50 years old because
Oh,
there's no
dude.
new players.
Can we
Maybe
talk
there's, like, a
about?
cool
That's
VR
how bleak it is. Not only are there no children,
technology.
but then there's no sports either.
Can we
you know
take
what I'm
like
saying?
5 minutes, just carve out some time before we move into our criteria and just talk about what a world with the best baseball player at some point would be 60 years old. Like, you know, the
Yeah.
best football would have to transition to two-hand touch or flag after a certain point. You just have
Exactly.
too many
That's what I'm
injuries.
saying.
Like,
Like
You just got to keep raising the tryout.
Tom Brady would be playing at
limitations or whatever.
65 years old.
Yeah.
Tom Brady would be the last man in the arena if that was a real like.
If like all the people that we had on this earth were it.
Yeah.
There's got to
That's
be
it.
other
No new
like
ones.
yeah, like what. That is a really interesting point, Leonard. Is as for sports fans, you're always like, man, my team sucks right now. Who we got coming up? Who's in the draft? Who's in the
There's
system?
nobody coming
Nobody.
up.
Your sucky team is gonna suck. That's the
Yeah.
last version of that team.
Yeah.
You better hope they get better.
That's if they're not getting
So like
better.
I was thinking about that. I was like, not only is like the world bleak and there's no kids, but then there's also like no escape because everybody's aging. So there's
Well,
like
Mhm.
there's no more new teen porn. You know what I'm saying? There's no more of that.
No
You
step.
know?
It's
no
only-
stepsister.
only
porn.
MILFs.
Yeah, only
Oh
MILFs.
wait, not
There's-
even MILFs.
Yeah, not even
No
MILFs.
moms.
No more MILFs. There's no more MILF porn.
People.
It's like, what
Just-
Just a bunch of ladies.
Oh, that's another good one. The porn industry. Yeah, like, and it's like,
Yeah.
you know, you labeled this college co-eds, but I know there's no one alive younger
there's
than
no
36.
there's no hot new actors. You know what I'm saying? All like
That's
they can't
true.
do any movies.
Mhm.
Oh, it's got to be CGI. There's probably CGI. There's a lot of
Mm.
CGI.
Yeah.
Probably stuff
lot of
going on.
CGI.
Maybe.
There's no also
There's-
like, you know, we're all in that point in your 20s and 30s. You just get invited to weddings and you're
Mhm.
like, God damn, when will wedding season end? It's like it's gonna end for everybody. Everyone's either
Yeah.
gonna be paired up
Yeah.
or fucked.
Once everybody gets married, that's it.
That is very, very interesting, all the ways that could turn out. But one of the ways that this film explores, because of course they're going to go with the most depressing one, is that people just killing themselves in the same way that you might
Yes,
pop a couple
on the
Advil if you
TV,
have
the
a headache.
commercials.
Every
What's it called?
advertisement
Quick-
is for Quietus, Quietus, and
You
it is
decide when.
Leonard is looking at me like he's unfamiliar with this. It is a plot point.
That
you weren't
part.
watching?
I missed that. What?
Yeah, man. So when Michael Caine
playing
is
on the background,
when he's stalling for time to let them get away.
Yeah.
Well, his wife, which she doesn't feature that prominently in the movie, but you get some backstory. She was a journalist who had been tortured, and so now is just in a kind of constant catatonic state, or not catatonic, or she's kind of vegetative.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
And they have a dog, and Michael Caine is just a fun stoner guy. Always wants people to pull his finger, but he realizes he's going to die because he's helping Theo, Clive Owen's character, and Key get away. So he takes his wife, who's sort of, it's not very clear if she's even really living, like if there's a lot of brain function there anyway, but he makes the hard choice where he kills her and the dog by giving them quietus, which is just a pill that you take and you go to bed, or you die, but they say it's like going to bed. It's like sleeping. It's peaceful. It's whatever. And then he gets shot in the hand and then shot a bunch more time by Chiwetel Ejiofor in maybe his most dickish role. He's usually a good guy.
By far his most dickish role.
I was, he gets killed, but like, that's a pretty, like, it's just like, you want to be out, like quietus, the idea of quietus. It's like, you want to be out. There's not much to live for, you're not going to get any grandkids. Like, it's a weird, depressing.
We can play any commercial we want because they don't have to be any kind of rating because there's no G-rated stuff.
Here's another thing.
Music.
Yeah,
anybody
no new music.
Can say anything they want.
No new artists.
No new artists.
Here's the other thing. Every time I go to McDonald's, that garbage is just going straight out the window of my car. Like the pollution, what are you working to maintain? The world is not going to be, it's a pretty, you're just playing out
people are probably start fucking dolphins and shit. Like this is gonna be crazy shit.
Yeah, okay, happen. That might be what you would do, Leonard. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, when people will be like, oh my god, there's
not
no
where
more
my mind goes, but okay.
The world is over. That means God can't be real. Think about, I feel like people are either going to get super religious or they're just going to be like, religion is not, it doesn't exist. It's over. We're doomed. And
they're like, this is the end. He shall choose the one that he wants.
And that's kind of what Clive Owen's character is kind of like. We've already seen him go through, or he's already been through that by the time we meet him. But it's like, he was an idealist. He was he would protest. We don't really know what, they don't really even make mention of it, but you assume like the environment or the government or whatever, but he's just living life. And he's like, oh, he uses the quote unquote tragedy, and that's a funny scene where baby Diego dies, and then everybody, and then his coffee shop is bombed because we're just living in a third world state, even in London where it's like the best. And he like goes into work where he works at some shitty job. Everyone is crying at their desk or looking at their little pictures of baby Diego. He's like the world's baby, and he just he goes to his boss and he goes, "I'm taking this really hard. I think I need to work from home for the rest of the day," which is another thing that they thought about, work from home. And his boss like, fine, but just to use the tragedy as an excuse to just go smoke weed with Michael Caine is pretty funny.
But then they go to like his rich cousin.
Yes, we got to talk about his cousin.
I was about to talk about that. I feel like how his cousin would feel, but I would be poor, but he can do it because he's rich. He's like, I just don't think about it.
Well, let's transition.
And
let's use the cousin to transition into pop culture, because pop culture is where his cousin has a lot of pop culture. No, it's not Robert Pattinson. It's
and also Michael Caine.
It's the
guy.
Yeah,
he is. He's at the table.
That's the guy. It's not Cassie, because I looked it up.
You're right. He's from Gossip Girl.
It's a different English.
He's the guy
actor.
from Gossip Girl. You're so right.
Chuck
Berry.
No, not Chuck. What is it with us and names this episode?
Seriously, bro. I still
Chuck Bass. Okay, so Chuck Bass plays someone who knows how this kid's acting out. He's got scars on his face, which seem like maybe his dad screams at him to take a pill.
His medicine.
His dad owns the pig from the Pink Floyd album cover, that floating pig. Like he's got fucking Pablo Picasso's Guernica just behind their huge dinner table. His uncle's like maybe the wealthiest person in the world, or his cousin, whatever.
Right. When he's driving, he's in like a Rolls Royce, and out the window it looks, they're at like a carnival. Like the world hasn't changed at all for them.
No, but you were saying, Leonard, that moment where he's talking to him about how he's still doing so well.
Yeah, and I mean, it was also interesting to be like, we saved the David. Like, The world is so fucked up that people
are
just destroying art, burning art, and destroying museums. But
I know, and there was a lot of art in V for Vendetta too.
Yeah, museums don't exist in this world. You know what I'm saying? In neither world. But like, that's such an interesting thing that like when you said it's like, what's the point? Then it's like, why the fuck am I even? Let's just burn this art. There are gonna be so many anarchists who are just like, let's just destroy everything.
Well, it's like the.
Have you guys seen the TV show The Last Man on Earth with Will Forte?
I watched
like
the
first 10 episodes.
Oh, it's good. You should watch it.
I found out he wasn't the last man, and I said this is false advertising, and I never watched.
No, never.
What's Kristen Schaal doing there?
Yeah, let's have a TV show, a series where there's literally only one person for every.
Yeah, he collects like there's a bunch of artifacts throughout the world.
Yeah.
Like what? Yeah, I think he has.
I would spend my days in a dystopic future like Will Smith in I Am Legend, where I would just memorize Shrek. You know, so if ever I meet a kid, I can play back Shrek word for word. Anyone remember that weird scene in I Am Legend?
Not necessarily.
Yeah, you shouldn't. But anyway, but yeah, no, pop culture. I mean, why make art? What we make art to be this is pretentious.
Why go to work? I can't believe people are at work, man.
Like, yeah, that's a time to experiment with universal guaranteed income, like basic income, like when there's really no need. There's no need.
Yeah. He needs money is what he's like doing everything for.
True. That's true. He is motivated.
I mean, the wealthy aren't just going to give up the money, which is crazy. But I feel like everybody's just like, we're just going to murder all of you. Like, what are you doing? Like,
yeah, I wouldn't kill. He's on the bus and they're just pelting him with garbage and stuff. Like
that's why they're
freaking bleak.
That's why they're trying to sell quietus, because they're like, all right, just kill yourself. Don't. We don't want an uprising. Just kill yourself. Yeah, like it's fine.
It's one less mouth to feed. Like exactly. It's pretty.
Yeah, we got a limited enough.
What was up with the burning of the cows? Why were they burning the cows? Did they ever say that?
They said they
probably like sick.
I think they also maybe they made reference to like when politicians need to, like, you just scarcity become. I don't know. There didn't seem to be a good reason for it, but they implied that it was like the government does it to like drum up pressure for votes or during election season or something. As to exactly why, I don't recall. But let's talk about pop culture of these movies. I feel like we should transition back to V, but since we're on Children of Men, we've already talked about the oneers, which I think that's the industry lingo for a single long take shot. This movie is full of them. Alfonso Cuarón likes doing them so much that he later made a movie that looks like it was entirely in one shot, and that was with Sandra Bullock, and I'm forgetting the name of it, but she's
Gravity.
In space. Gravity, thank you.
Oh, okay. I never saw that.
Yep. And I don't know, like, this is an indie movie. It was well received. It did not, and we'll get to stats, but like I don't know that there's that much about it that like in the larger pop cultural sphere is really thought of, other than people who've seen it saying like, Children of Men is rad. But I don't know that there's that much, maybe I'm missing something obvious, but I think it's really just those shots, if you remember those shots. But that's like if you're in a film course or if you're watching a YouTube breakdown. But V for Vendetta I think definitely has this category.
I was just about to say V for Vendetta has this hands down between the Guy Fawkes mask and just like, I mean, it already was a comic beforehand, so it already had a following. And
when I went to the library, when I went to the library, the librarian was like, "Ooh, V for Vendetta."
Yeah,
I wanted to.
Librarian loved that you were taking out a DVD. She's so excited. Can I interest you in any books? No, thank you.
No. Please show me.
I only watch
fiction.
This was based on a graphic novel. Not interested.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like this is gonna win hands down because the comic, the following, the mask, the 5th of November, Natalie Portman's big bald head.
Yeah, remember the 5th of November is definitely I mean, that existed before that, but definitely because of this, people know that.
And I feel like in the last couple of years, especially during 2020, a lot of people on Twitter were talking about V for Vendetta kind of was drummed up again because of what was happening in the world and the parallels between the movie and how, things have been pretty fucked up in the last couple of years. So I feel like it's kind of come back again because of that. So
Yeah, I think just like The Mask. I mean, I know that's kind of circles around what we're talking about, but like you see that Guy Fawkes mask, if not every Halloween. Like it's also like, and this is I'm not blaming the movie for this. This is not an argument kind of thing, but I do think like weirdly, you talked about how V comes back and a lot of the parallels drawn, and I don't think these figures are similar. But the idea of a guy sowing chaos amongst the government who goes by a letter is very kind of QAnon, right? Like, I mean, and like builds followers and stuff. I couldn't help but watch this today in 2022 and think about that a little bit too.
Wow, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
But the thing that was with him is like he didn't have a following in a sense of like there was no internet, there was no thing. He just literally broadcasted to the entire nation. It wasn't like he had a secret chat or something where you could go talk to him. It was just like,
yeah, that part's almost a bit WikiLeaks or something too, right? Like just a dump of government secrets.
Yeah. So, you know, these movies hit pretty hard. They did. I think they both did a very good job at selling these types of worlds.
One other thing, the talk show host played by Stephen Fry, who's a popular English comedian. I do feel like strangely, and this was not a big, well, it's a decent part of the movie, but it's not the point of it. But like he does this kind of lame ass talk show at the TV station where Natalie Portman works, and we later come to find that he's gay, and he is like he's against the government, but he just goes and lives his life because being gay is forbidden in this world, and he goes and he lives his life.
That's got to be horrible, man. Like
absolutely. But like when his act of defiance is he makes his talk show political. And I was like, that's kind of like all the Jimmys have had that awakening over the past couple of years. Colbert, Seth Meyers, whoever you want. Talk shows are it's all the Daily Show now, right? Like it's all that kind of like political well, not theater because I don't think it's fake, but like it's definitely that's a part of the discourse.
I thought it was wild that he didn't think that they were going to come after him. He was like, oh no, they'll suspend you or something. It's like, no, they're going to
he really
kill
thought
you.
he was good.
Yeah, he's like, I'll get a slap on the wrist, maybe pay a fine. It's like, motherfucker, they killed you in your bedroom.
Yeah, you gone.
You scarred Natalie Portman all over again.
I know. It's like literally, she's literally
the same shot.
The worst moment of her life. She gets to have it again.
That, I'll be honest, that to me, well, we can transition into does this hold up? But one other pop culture trope that both of these movies employ is black bagging people. I feel like that's become a term, but both of these movies black bag people a lot.
Yep. Like, it's I mean, after you know the whole Iraq war, I can't think of the name of the prison where they were. Abu Ghraib? What was it?
It's not. It was Guantanamo.
Guantanamo, where they were black bagging people and torturing people.
There was some real Guantanamo imagery in Children of Men, like when they were driving through and like people in their underwear black bagged and stuff. It was pretty disturbing.
That's literally what I was thinking about, because I honestly just recently like somehow got into this little wormhole and like was reading about that and was looking at these pictures, and like it is pretty fucked up what we did as a country. And
it wasn't good. Yeah, no. We are a staunchly anti-Guantanamo podcast.
100%.
I don't even want to continue making light of it, but let's go into does this hold up? I think a lot of what we were talking about in pop culture kind of trends that way. We're talking about things that have happened today, so maybe we can talk about maybe stuff we haven't mentioned or things that don't. I got one for you, Leonard, about my movie, which I thought you might appreciate. I don't know if you know where I'm going with this, but Michael Caine in the beginning of the movie, when he introduces to Theo, to Clive Owen, the strawberry cough, he goes, "You're allowed to kill yourself, but weed's still illegal," or something like that. And I'm like, they got that fucking wrong. Marijuana is now legal everywhere. So the idea that in 2027 weed is still outlawed, and maybe in this version of the future it still would be, but I think we've seen the government would probably just be like, let's let people get high because they're a lot less ornery.
You can do ketamine, you can do GHB.
That's another thing we didn't talk about. If there was no tomorrow, wouldn't you just be doing drugs all the time?
All the time. But you need money to do drugs.
So true. See, they still got everybody with the money. And in both of these, it really depends on who you are, matters, like if you're gonna survive or not.
Yeah,
true.
Like where you were born.
And these systems, class really is it's a multiplier tenfold. Because and I love their attempt at like what could be futuristic that we could see in 20 years, and him like playing with the little cube thing with his hands,
which looks like a Rubik's cube without the physical part. Like I don't know what that's supposed to be, but
I was like, oh,
and how it's got spindly like things that attach to the finger. Like it's weird. I didn't totally nail that.
I'll say what does hold up is I feel like white people would really be rocking dreads if they knew that there aren't gonna be any more babies and nothing matters. These white people just gonna be out here dreading it up, man. You know what I'm saying? Did y'all know that was Charlie Hunnam?
No way.
That is Charlie Hunnam, the white dude
really?
With the dreads. I got a clear shot. He was 19 years old.
Also, I love. Do you know?
Bro, you were
it's a little
shooting
bit
at me.
I was about to say.
Me. What are you
I
doing?
was defending myself by opening a car door. You drove your fucking motorcycle too close. Yeah, I love that.
So you can get a clear shot at me with a pregnant woman next to me. Like, I love how they're like, don't shoot. But you were going to shoot me earlier while I was literally sitting next to the pregnant woman, the only pregnant woman in the last 20 years.
That's a really good point because they fire into the car and Julianne Moore is sitting. I guess Clive Owen's behind her. But still, like they're firing into the car from the front.
That's
you
why
could
they
very
made
easily
sure.
hit the baby.
Yeah, that's why they
what
made
were they
sure
gonna
that she
do with
was
the
sitting.
baby?
I guess that is why they don't just fire after that. They try to take the motorcycle and get the clean shot or whatever, like you're saying, Leonard. But they were going to do with maybe don't ever fire a gun at a car that a baby is in, just to be safe. Just with the first baby in humanity.
I think they're going to try to. They were just going to use it as propaganda, being like refugees living in London were the first people to have without any scientific. We should be allowed to live in this country, but and all right. So we might as well talk about how well does it hold up. The ending of Children and Men. What do you think? They don't clarify if that's the ship that is coming to pick her. And there were a bunch of seamen and a bunch of just like white dudes that were seamen on that boat, and I was just like they look like fishermen. They look like fishermen.
Nope, not going near that boat.
Well, that was the pickup. That was the pickup time. So there's more reason than just it's the first boat that passes. But I do agree. I think it's ambiguous for sure. I mean, they seem like they're looking for somebody, but also they could have been for any number of reasons looking for somebody.
I'm not saying they didn't pick her up, but I'm like, is it the boat that was supposed to pick her up? But
I don't know. I think that it's a hopeful movie. I think it's intentionally vague, but I like what they do in the ending before they play a pretty good John Lennon song. There's the sound of children laughing, which I wonder if you're supposed to interpret that as sort of like it worked, or if it's supposed to just be sad. There's no answer to your question, but it's
I took it as sad, but I'm not. I will say this. I feel like both these movies hold up, but Children of Men just really holds up really well because it felt really grounded. It felt really well, but that shot of her just on the boat alone as like the waves are crashing, that shot was just like so fucking epic. It's like, god damn, bro.
That shot of them in the
really beautiful stuff in this movie.
In the elementary school when she's out on the swing and like she's framed within like the broken glass and he's there's a lot of very artful shots in this.
And I do apologize. There's a thunderstorm happening right here.
Now. You're good. Is it really?
That's something we don't know about out here in California.
Yeah, we've never heard of that. What is that?
I'm very familiar with weather now. All kinds of it.
I'm glad you brought up the ending of Children of Men, Leonard, because I actually had it's an interesting thing that I've read. Have you read the graphic novel V for Vendetta?
No, I haven't. I feel like I'm going to now. So
yeah, Cassie, you shook your head. You haven't either. Okay, so I have, but I read it after I saw the movie.
Okay.
And I don't know, I cannot remember because it was 10 or 15 years ago itself now when I read the graphic novel, but it was around the time I read Watchmen and I was just reading Alan Moore. But he famously, he doesn't not like that his work is adapted, he like hates it. Like he just hates it on principle. So his opinion of this movie, I'm sure is not good, but I don't think that necessarily has any bearing on how everybody else enjoys it. But there's an interesting thing where apparently I know it does, I've read it, but the graphic novel ends a little bit more ambiguously. And in the movie, it ends, they send the train through the empty subway tunnel, the thought to be abandoned subway tunnel. It goes into Parliament, it blows it up, fireworks, celebration. But even before they do that, the kind of government had been effectively overthrown or just overcome by people in these Guy Fawkes masks. So it seemed like that's the movie. So in the in the graphic novel, and again, I'm only remembering it as best I can, they blow up Parliament, and then there's a little bit more of them kind of V is dead, and I guess the cop character and Natalie Portman, Evie, kind of walk around London, and like someone tries to like, I'm going to be, someone who's read this is going to be listening to this and be like, no, that's not how it goes, you fucking idiot. But basically there's a little bit of a moment, kind of like the end of The Graduate, which is a film we'll never talk about because it was made before 1984. But that movie ends with Dustin Hoffman and the female lead, whose name I forget. They get on a bus and he's just pulled her away from her wedding, and they're going off, and they have a moment of like, oh shit, what did we just do? Like the movie hangs with them for a little bit, like, oh, things could be interesting. Like I just professed my love to you. What's next from here? And the graphic novel, I think, is a little bit, it makes a little bit more the point of like anarchy can be just as chaotic and bad for you as can like a full like Hitler-esque regime. I mean, this guy's named Sutler. So the idea of like the French Revolution, right? Like the proletariat is bad, but then when you start cutting off everyone's head, it's not, that doesn't serve the poor any better either. The problem is we can't just keep equilibrium. Whereas this movie, I feel like a little bit in terms of hold up, like that was a part where it seemed like, and I get it, it's a blockbuster, it's made by the Wachowskis and stuff, but it's like now the interesting part happened, you know, like now what kind of thing. So because they killed Sutler, they killed Creedy, who's like his second in command, but they're not going to let who fills the power vacuum, you know, like that's probably, those people are in for chaos and a lot of more struggle to come. But I guess that is what you get in the struggle for freedom. I just thought it was an interesting point. The movie kind of has a little bit of a tidier bow on it, and I think that was not necessarily the original intent of the author.
Well, I think it's what you were saying too, kind of plays in Children of Men, because it's like, all right, the fishies are supposed to be these people who are like, all right, we're trying to show you a better way. We're trying to show you that, you know, lower class people or refugees should be represented, and that we should be equal, and that we are, you know, we're better than the totalitarian government. We're not bombing anymore. You know, we're trying to be this and that. And it's like, y'all are just as bad. Y'all are just out here murdering people and killing people and trying to use this baby for propaganda. And it's like what I always say about any system. People are like, oh yeah, you know, this system would be this system, or communism with the right people. And it's like, okay, well, the communism is never going to work because human beings are running the system. No system is going to work with human beings involved, because it's always going to be corrupted no matter what the system is.
We've
not
yet to
these
create
humans we got.
We've yet to create the system of government that takes out like the bad qualities of humans. But it's interesting. Right. I think both of these movies deal with that in different ways. I think you're right. I mean, I think the ending of Children of Men can be just as kind of like that. Let's say that those are the people on the boat. Is that shit gonna work? What are they gonna do? They're gonna just like study her uterus? Like, I don't know.
Is she gonna get to keep her child? Like, what's gonna happen?
It's kind of iffy on, are they good or bad?
So literally it is. Everyone. We only see Clive Owen's part of the journey, and the most interesting part, or the most consequential part, is going to happen right as the movie ends, which is kind of the same thing of V for Vendetta.
And technically, I think she's a terrorist, but I also just have to say this one part.
A Fuji.
I mean, but they were saying she killed cops and like was a part of
a
fishy. So like not just a Fuji, a fishy, a terrorist. But the scene, this holds up, man, where the baby starts crying and everyone just knows that there's a baby.
Right.
Everyone sees this baby, and the joy. This motherfucker is shot. This woman is shot, but she's like reaching up and just like smiling, seeing this baby, and the soldiers cease fire and everyone's looking and they're walking through and everyone's just letting them through. Nobody's trying to stop. Nobody's doing anything. And the soldiers are watching, and the people in the building, the moment has passed for them. They've seen it. It's happened. And they fucking shoot a rocket and it all just snaps right back into reality. And that moment, it was just like, holy fucking shit, man. Like, it's so crazy. It's like, for a second, we all saw something. There was this hope. We had this feeling, but then we just went right back to being human beings and killing each other.
Yeah. That is like, that's the most, because right when you're like, would this happen? Would we stop? Would we put down our arms to see a baby? But it's like, well, no one's seen it. Most of these people have never seen a baby or not seen one in 20 years or whatever.
18 years at least.
And then it's like, let's go back to rocket launching each other, which does feel like the most honest depiction of what that would be like. You'd be awed for a moment, and then you'd be like, I gotta kill this guy though.
It feels like the Republican Party. Look at this baby. All right, just murder each other. Okay. I got a quick question. Was Regina Hall in either one of these movies?
No.
I don't think so.
She was not. She was not
No.
in either one of these movies. This was prime time though. Not prime time, but
Yeah.
She was in movies in 2005 and 2006.
She could have.
Hey, you know who I saw the other day in a movie on Netflix with Samuel L. Jackson? Luis Guzman.
Oh shit! What movie is this that they're both in?
It was. It's called The Cleaner.
Damn.
Oh, I heard
it's on Netflix right now. It's good. It's got Eva Mendes.
Ooh, hello.
And yeah, it's really good. I don't want to say it. I don't want to spoil it.
Okay, cool.
No, that's okay. That we appreciate. Listen, we're always looking out for Luis Guzman and Samuel L. Jackson
and
films.
Gary
We can
Oldman.
just never find them.
Yeah.
Yep, and it just popped up in my life on Netflix. It came to me.
I think in my movie, I don't know who Regina Hall would be, so I'm going to make her Julianne Moore. I'm going to make her the kind of like, oh, that's your ex-wife, Clive Owen kind of thing. I feel like she could do that role.
Dylan would have been mixed, is what you're saying.
Sure. Fictional Dylan that we never meet.
We see pictures of him.
Oh, that's true. They'd have to change that kid. If we go back and scrub Julianne Moore and put in Regina Hall, we also have to scrub
I will say this. The Photoshop in Children of Men is pretty goddamn bad. I mean, it's with where they're looking at his wife or whatever in the awards.
Yeah, and the picture of Michael Caine.
Also, I love a home that frames your accomplishments from when you're at your top to framing the headline, I was tortured and now I'm catatonic. And it's like, and here she is. It's like, I got the whole thing just by walking through your living room. I'm up to speed.
Shit. If you didn't notice, this is why. Hey,
what's wrong with your wife? Check the living room, bro. It's right there. I framed the headline.
I don't want to talk about it. What would Regina Hall be in I don't know where she is in V for Vendetta. I'm trying to place
I know
her.
it's unfortunate, but I feel like she'd be like a terrorist or a convict or in either of these movies, and I feel like that's too bad.
I think what you're hinting around, Leonard, is that none of the characters of authority in this movie are played by black people, unless I'm leaving somebody out, right?
No, I don't think
and none of
they're all white men. They're literally all white men,
right?
And I love that James Bond kind of room where you're just the bad guys on a giant TV screen. The only time we see him in person is at the end. But he's just talking through a huge fucking TV screen and everyone else just leans in out of the shadows and is like,
that's
I'm doing propaganda this week or whatever. And they're like,
that shit was creepy. It was like, this has happened. This has happened before. All right. Well,
let's make her Evie.
Let's make her Evie. Yeah.
Sorry, Natalie Portman.
Like Evie.
Hope you didn't already shave your head, Natalie. We're going a different direction.
No. She could be the Roses girl. She could be the actress,
the scientist,
the woman who writes her toilet paper memoir.
Yeah, she could be her.
That works.
Oh, yeah,
that works.
Yeah,
that works.
Okay.
Or like in the very beginning of the movie when Natalie Portman is going to work. Just one of the office people.
She could have been her boss. She could have been her boss at BT.
She just walks by and she's like, Tuesdays, am I right? And then shit goes down.
It's just hard for black people in these movies because in both movies it was like native Englanders. Like no one who's
you were
not
born
England.
here.
Okay. Well, let's talk about the stats of these movies. Oh shit, we didn't even think about it. She could have been Key in Children of Men.
I thought about that too, but I think listen, Regina Hall is ageless, but I do feel like she's maybe I think there's supposed to be something very I don't know. I feel like that
still supposed to be younger.
Also, I felt like if I swapped out the one black actress for another black actress, you'd be like, oh, there can only be one kid, and I avoided that.
Could she be?
I think she's supposed to be like 20 or something.
That's
I think
what
she's
I felt
pretty
like.
young. Yeah.
I'm gonna give the stats for V for Vendetta. It was a budget of 50 to 54 million. It made 132 million, 32.5 million in the box office. That's pretty decent. I mean, 2006. Yeah, that's good. You can't be mad at that. Yeah.
Wait, 256?
No, 153.
132.
132.5. Well, they made
on a budget of 50.
With a budget
of 54.
Of 50, so, yeah. 50.
So it's profitable.
It says 50 to 54.
A movie about overthrowing the government.
Just said so many numbers.
IMDb is at 8.2. Rotten Tomatoes a 73%. Man, that's kind of okay. It is what it is.
That's pretty good. I mean, that's solidly fresh.
Audience score is 90%. So, anyways.
Okay. All right, let me quick run through the stats for Children of Men. Budget is listed at I'm seeing 76 million. Box office, $70 million. So this movie did not make money in theaters anyway.
It was too bleak. It was too bleak.
I do feel like I've talked to a bunch of people that love this movie. I have yet to talk to someone who's like, and I saw it in theaters. I do not remember when this movie was out. It was not marketed to me, a 15-year-old at the time. Like, I'm not sure who this movie. Anyway, it's a kind of an adult thriller. It's rated R, so that probably plays into it. Anyway, like V for Vendetta is PG-13.
No, it's R.
No, V's R. I'm sorry, V for Vendetta is R. It has a 7.9 on IMDb.
Wow.
Which is good. A 92% fresh on the tomato meter, but only an 85% in the audience score.
Wow, interesting.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
I think it's just too depressing for some people, man.
I think it might be some people are like, fuck out of here with this. Also, maybe some people are like, this movie's called Children of Men, and I saw nary a child.
One child.
I've seen the men, but where are the children? I saw
one child, and it was a girl, and she was black. I don't want this. I can't connect to this.
I mean, it is kind of you could make, I guess, like a white savior argument against Clive Owen in this movie, but it takes the disgruntled British guy who's well off to save everybody. But why not Chewie? Why not Chiwetel Ejiofor? He probably doesn't like an asshole in this movie, does he? Yeah. Anyway,
black people can be assholes.
It's true. That's an important thing that you remind us on this podcast every week. Let's move into Cassie. I hope you've been paying attention. Is it Cassie or is it Casey? It's Cassie. Because we're in the end game. The future is now. We are at our final arguments, and Leonard, I believe I go first this week. And I usually like to take this time, and I usually like to get all lawyery and sort of walk around the courtroom, put my thumbs along my suspenders. I'm going to try to be a little bit more succinct this time. I hadn't seen V for Vendetta in a long time. I hadn't seen Children of Men probably in at least 5 years, maybe even closer to 10 years. So it had been a minute for both of these movies. I don't think there was any like key part of them that I really forgot. But in rewatching them, I think we've talked about all the ways that they are kind of telling the same story about humanity and about like the government and about all this stuff. I just think that V for Vendetta, I think that Children of Men is directed by is better directed. I think Alfonso Cuarón is kind of a master. I think he's sort of shown that to be the case in his films since and before. And I also just think it talks about a lot of the same issues in a way that I find more interesting and that sticks with me. I think we talked about the scene where the baby cries in the stairwell. We talked about the shot where Julianne Moore gets killed. That coffee scene in the beginning, whatever. I think it's getting at the same points in a way that is more, not even subtle, but just sort of more thoughtful. It envisions a future that is fascinating while it's very depressing. And I think V for Vendetta is totally good and a better type of movie for what it's trying to be than Children of Men would be, which is a blockbuster. The fact that it pulls off being a blockbuster at all is pretty impressive. So I'll understand if that's what, but I just think it's a little bit like cookie cutter, like this is the revolution kind of thing. I think it's sort of summed up in that they keep going back to that little girl with glasses. And the first time she's watching the news and she's like, I'm scared, mommy. And then the second time she goes, they're lying to us. And then the third time she's wearing the mask in the street and she gets shot and she's dead. But it's that's how that movie tells that story. I think Children of Men is kind of operating on maybe a different level that I appreciate more. But so that's why it's my pick.
Yeah. Children of Men is a great movie. It's well written, well directed. I chose V for Vendetta because it is telling basically kind of the same story, but in a much more enjoyable way. It's a lot more fun. It's a lot more vibrant. It's a lot more digestible, which I feel like is maybe why the audience score is a little bit higher than Children of Men. I think it's more hopeful, like we said, it's a little vague. It's a little ambiguous at the end of Children of Men. We don't necessarily know what's going to happen. And just because this one baby was born, what does that even mean? When you have a revolution of people and the people unite, that's a more hopeful story. That's a more happier ending per se to the situation. Also, with Children of Men, we're talking about a dystopian society and world, and the whole thing, the whole motive and the reason why this world is because children aren't being born. So it's like, for this world to exist, it's like it's taken a like cataclysmic I can't even fucking say the word. Cataclysmic situation. And it's like, all right, I have to accept that this is the situation that this world is in. With V for Vendetta, it's like this could happen in the world that we live in today. Like fascists could easily take over a country, and it's happening with North Korea. It is happening in the world today, but so this feels a lot more real, and I feel like you said it's a little cookie cutter, but it's like it's made for the masses, and it's made for the masses to understand what is happening to them, and that as a whole they can unite and revolutionize and stop this if need be. So that's why I think this is a better movie. It's just more digestible, it's more understandable, it's a lot more fun, and it's not as bleak, but it's still very real. So I think V for Vendetta is the better choice.
Okay, ball's in your court, Casey.
Oh, okay. Wow. Me? I go?
Yep.
Okay. Let's see.
Take as long or as little as you need.
Okay, well, not having seen either of these movies and now seeing them, I'm gonna go off of, I guess, the feeling that the movie gave me, which one really brought me into it, made me feel like I was part of the world that was happening in the earth. And I think one movie kind of made me, I think it thinks that it's better than me. And that movie the movie that I'm choosing is Children of Men.
Oh!
I gotta do it. And I gotta say, the more I think about it, I don't like V for Vendetta. I think I don't like it at all.
Oh shit, Cassie.
Yeah.
And I think, I'm sorry not to editorialize, I want you to keep going, believe me, I do. But if you could have seen Leonard's in my face, you can, but everyone listening, if you could see Leonard's in my face when you said one movie thought it was better than me, Leonard was like, I got this, Alfonso Cuarón, you pompous ass making your art house flicks about the future, but you were wrong, Leonard.
He brought me in it. He brought me into the
Hell
movie.
yeah.
I was right there in the movie. And he showed it to me and how beautiful and how bleak and beautiful it could all be. And like if I don't get it, V's gonna like torture me and dunk my head in the toilet. Get out of here, V, with you very ferocious, verbatim.
Oh, no.
You don't know me. You don't know me, V.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
I mean, Children of Men.
Leonard looks like he's about to swallow a whole tab of Quietus.
Children of Men.
Vengeance. How does it feel, Leo?
I'm not mad at it because Children of Men is the better movie. I watch both these movies. Children of Men is the better movie.
Homeward Bound.
That's why I knew. This is why I knew I was gonna lose this episode.
Thank you, Cassie.
I knew I was gonna lose
that movie so many times that I burned the tape in it because I VHS. Used it so much. It disintegrated out of
the V for VHS. Cassie, coming to the defense of Homeward Bound, this is a banner day for me. I mean, it's a Friday. I'm feeling good. I got
you feel vindicated?
I feel 4 wins in a row.
I'm a little bit heavy because I got 4 wins weighing me down, but it's okay. I think I could make room for. I feel
like Jerry Buss in the Los Angeles Lakers in winning time right now. Maybe I'm Red Auerbach because I'm not gonna win. And like the one W I should have, which we will never speak of, I think got taken away from me, so I'm really upset.
You don't know that you got it. We might have released it as a bonus episode when the dust settles. But Cassie, we're not talking about other episodes. We're not talking about past, present, or future. Well, we are talking about the future, but this has become a not so dystopic future for me. I am.
This is totally utopian, huh?
Hey, I'm just gonna say
this. Future.
Cassie, I'm just gonna say this. I didn't get mad at you after you didn't pick my movie. Didn't get mad at you. Didn't pull a
You're
Quinn.
not.
I'm very
Not
chill.
happening right
I knew
now?
I was gonna take this L. I thought
Leonard-
I really
Cool.
for a second there I thought I pulled it off. When
I thought you did too.
Yeah, I thought I did, but
I wouldn't have gotten mad at you, Cassie. I can't get mad at you. I only get
You
mad
guys
at
aren't gonna
people who I
shave my
really
head?
think they should pick my movie. I'll be honest.
not
Can
gonna
I
shave
keep
your
my
head.
hair?
No, we're not gonna shave your head.
We're gonna shave your head. That's a special.
You're
That's a
gonna make
bonus
me
feature.
eat the rat slop.
The rat wouldn't
Don't
even
make
eat it.
me, please.
The rat wouldn't even eat it. They were like,
when you oh shit, I'm losing my train of thought. But Leonard, had you picked Cassie, had you picked Leonard's movie, I would not have been mad at you. I have maybe once, maybe just one time, maybe a couple, maybe 2, 3, 4 times I got mad at a little bit flustered when my movie's not picked. I can't recall. There's no recording evidence of this.
Okay,
but when you made your argument, Leonard, I was like, shit, that's the argument. I thought you might beat me because of the argument you made. I was like, that's a pretty good, I think Children of Men is the better movie too. I would have argued that regardless, but I was like, oh, when you're saying it's palatable for people who might not otherwise understand, I was like, fuck yeah, it was a good angle. I was appreciative, but it doesn't matter because you lost anyway.
I'm gonna tell you my choice before you told me yours, and I pivoted, and I was gonna go with Purge 2.
The Purge 2.
Okay.
Yeah, Purge 2 is the best Purge of the best Purge movies.
Yeah, the first Purge sucks. I've only ever seen the first Purge, but I'm like, this movie's not good.
Wait, wait, hold on. When you say the first Purge, do you mean the first ever Purge to come out or the movie?
Oh my god! I think I mean the
movie
with Lena Headey and
there's a movie called The First Purge.
I know, you're right. Now that you say that, I realized what a boondoggle I just walked into. But no, I meant this is a Star Wars thing. The first Star Wars or Episode 1? It's like forget it. It doesn't matter. No, the one with Ethan Hawke. I did not.
Yeah, that one sucks. I was so mad because
the potential's so good.
The potential I was like, holy fucking shit, this is right up my alley. I can't fucking wait. I saw it like opening theaters. I was like, there were 3 people in the theater. It was like me, my girlfriend, and another person. Literally one other person was in the theater.
Your girlfriend, Casey.
No. And this was like 2012, 2013. And I was so mad. And then when I saw the trailer for the second one, I was like, they fucking finally did it right. This is what I want to see. And the second one is so good.
The first one just becomes a haunted house movie. And it's like people trying to get into your house not haunted. I'm sorry. Like The Strangers or whatever. It's like people trying to get into your house to kill you.
They're rich.
You don't need to make a law where it's allowed to kill people once every month. It's like, I want to see chaos on the streets.
Exactly.
Anyway, Cassie, this has been the Purge podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Cassie,
watch it down. Watch it burn.
Thank you for watching these movies. Thank you for watching. Cassie came prepared, folks. This is how you do the Film versus Film podcast.
Yeah.
She watched the bonus features. Shit that we haven't even watched.
I couldn't.
We went to the library and got DVDs and watched the bonus features. Do you have anything you want to plug, Cassie?
Yes. Let's see. If you are into tie-dye, I have an Etsy shop, Cassie Crafts for You, the number 4 and the letter U. And on Instagram, it's the same. Or my other one is Cassie, CASSIE _Hoge, HOGE.
I have got a couple Cassie Crafts for You originals, and I can vouch for their quality, and they look great. So absolutely.
Thank you. Yes, I have over 150 sales on my Etsy.
Oh shit!
I've sold to people in Germany and Saipan is in like the South Pacific, and they bought some socks,
shit.
You know. And when you think about it, so I'm selling 3 pairs of socks in a pack, so that's a lot of socks. If I sold 100 of them,
that's good value. I could use new socks because I run holes in all my socks. I feel like I got like pointy heel or something. I don't know about it. Yeah, those socks. Yeah,
I have way too many socks. Pointy heels.
I don't know what the issue is, but
you have coarse heels.
That's it. I got rough heels. I haven't really taken the time to really help my heels. Also, just a quick shout out to Cassie. We are Thanos. We have been going through this podcast trying to collect every member of Lotions 11 at some point in time. Unfortunately, we did also get Rob Bowen, but you make everybody. We're very excited to have you. It is certainly not last and least. It's probably latest and greatest. Maybe I'm just riding the high of this win, Leonard, but it's been a blast Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Cassie. Thank you, Leonard. He's going to go and take some quietus. Or
I literally am. Not because I lost, because I said Casey at the beginning of the episode.
We forgive you.
Cool. I don't think anybody noticed it.
we kind of, what was helpful is we just kept going.
We just kept going.
Yeah, we just rolled on.
We blew right over that.
It was like Julianne Moore just been shot up in the car, and it's like, I still got to get us to the safe house. So
are either one of you going to go see Doctor Strange?
The Multiverse of Madness? I think I might see that today or tomorrow. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Why are you?
You guys going? Yeah, I'm
trying to go. Are we going together?
You buying tickets, bud?
Well, let's the three of us and maybe anyone else watching. Thank you again, and we will see you at the cinema.